Yeah, so found a photo of a field trip my brother took in this was third grade. Yeah, took a trip to a pumpkin patch. You got it's a photo of him and I guess some of his classmates running to the pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Eric was like really fast dude, man. He had speed. You know, his brothers, we always would race, and he always was the fastest one. You know, everybody's known for their certain attribute, their little physical attribute, or like whatever skill we had. You know, Eric was the fastest in the neighborhood. That's what he was known for. Speed. But creative, super creative kid. Eric Bush, also known as Paradise. So Eric, he was like my best friend growing up. He was, and I always looked up to him because he was an amazing artist. You know, being the youngest, like there was things from my both of my brothers that I picked up. You know, one being art. But yeah, Eric, he was always a creative kid. He was skateboard. He was always into alternative stuff. You know, us being black, growing up in the projects. You know, and transplanting from the projects and moving on the outskirts of it in Fountain City. You know, he always we were always different. We wasn't your typical kids from the projects. He always had a temper, they would say, growing up. Like Eric seemed to be mad, you know, all the time. And I think Eric had it a little bit harder because the relationship my mother had with Eric and Kendall dad was about to end before Eric was born. Right. So when Eric was born, he came out light skinned. You know, his dad was about my complexion. But Eric came out the skin tone of my mother. So I guess he assumed it wasn't his son. So basically he left and didn't have no relationship with Eric at all. You know, didn't claim, well, that's not my son. So it wasn't until he was 9 years old that they finally went to court and basically discovered like, yo, this is your son, you know? So Eric basically grew up without no kind of relationship with a father, you know? So that's why in school, he would always be labeled as the bad kid, which leads us into the notebook. So Eric, he flew to San Francisco at 17 after getting in trouble here in Knoxville. He was basically evading the law for something that he did with a group of friends of his at 17. They were doing some legal things. I won't say specifically what it was, but it warranted the feds, like FBI was looking for him, essentially. So he gets a police officer came to my mother's apartment at the time and told her like, hey, we're looking for Eric. Here's a card. Like when he comes here, call us so we can, you know, deal with this. So he comes home one day, and mom like calls him like he's here, you know, and it was like, oh, he got to deal with and face what he's going through, what he's done, and I'm going to be here for you. But she tried to do it the right way, but Eric, he wasn't having that. So he jumped out the window, and we're on the third floor of a apartment complex, and basically runs from the police and gets away from that helicopters and everything. It was crazy. So it's wild. So he gets away, and then a couple of days later he comes back. He went to a friend's house, come back, and he's like, "Mom, I want to leave. I can't stay here. Like, I'm not trying to go to jail for this. And I got a friend that's out in San Francisco. I want to fly over there to basically get away and like spend time away until the case dies down. I'll come back." It's like okay, and mom's gave him some money. He bought a bus ticket, and then he bust off a couple of days later up to California. But you know, like not having that father and that discipline and that structure, the skill sets he need to like maintain up there, he just didn't have it. So yeah, he went up there, he stumbled his way around, but he found a lot of friends, San Francisco, and created a support system for himself. So I guess it was 7 years later, this notebook now. 7 years later, he finally decided to get out of California. He's like, you know what? I gotta get out of here. I can't be here no more. I need my family, you know, and like he's been through a lot. I guess he got into drinking and just, you know, things you get to being young, you know, but not having that structure, he would get into it a little bit too much, you know. So he got a plane flight back to Knoxville. No, he rode a bus back to Knoxville. I think around 2011. And when he came back, he got a notebook and basically he began to do all the sketches in here. So this is a trinket, a talisman that he left for me of just, well, basically unintentionally, I think, but it was a book that he was basically developing his craft because he thought about being the graffiti artist. And he had ideas for clothing lines, different things, to basically he was visioning up. And this notebook became the tool that he'll draw it in. So the first page is a name he came up with. He called himself Paradise. So that was his tag he was developing. So he thought, like, you know what, I'm gonna get to Cali. When I get back, I'm gonna bomb some buildings and make my name known. I don't know what it was, but Paradise was what he was seeking essentially. So that's why I came up with the name Paradise. He wanted to find that for himself, and he saw himself as Paradise. And I think at the time when he came back, he broke up with a girl. So he had a girlfriend he broke up with. So he was going through like that breakup pain too. When you lose a girl, and, oh, the memories. The memories so good. So he was going through that. So he's trying to build himself up, find paradise within, and get over a breakup. So in his notebook, you can see him like, dang, this is dope. Oh, he also said this: I will never come to Tennessee again as long as I live, as long as I'm alive. So there was something about Knoxville he wasn't feeling. Wow. He was going through. But yeah, we're trying to find sanity, because you're in a city like that, you're going through these traumatic changes, flying from a small town to San Francisco, like being homeless, having friends. He told me stories about friends that died in front of him and all kind of crazy stuff that he experienced. So he experienced a lot of harsh things and had to come back to Knoxville and having to acclimate to a small town vibe and you up in a big city, So how does your mind settle? Now I guess this was him dumping California and what he's experienced in this notebook. Oh, that's cool. So picture him spraying Psycho. That's fire. He developed this thing called Natives, spelled Nativez with the NZ. Natives. So I guess he's in San Francisco, he's playing off of that. So he's like, oh, the natives. That's like, and he's thinking like, that's where I'm from. Like I'm a native, like I'm of this land. Then he began to start drawing clothes. Dope ass clothing line. Hats, shoes, shirts with the natives on it. Telling you, man, had this real dope little hoodie he drew. The NV on it. Yeah. So yeah, like you can see that his vision was starting to manifest in a way like, hey, this is something I can do practically and do a clothing line. To check this out, this is real dope. He had this, like it's getting to the end of the book, and it's like the last tennis shoe he drew, one of the last shoes he drew. And he signed it Natives Paradise at the bottom. And he had this note he put in here. And here's what he said to me. He said, if something happens to me and I'm not able to come out with my shit, you niggas better do it. It's in God's hands, which is yours. Paradise. Yeah. And then he left the book with me. He could have took it. But I think he just something told him to leave it with me. And then he had another shoe. It's called the Heart Shoe, Mom's Kicks. It's a shoe we dedicated to mom, to our mama. It's a tennis shoe with all. So it's all in the book. Yeah, he had his raps in here too. He was an MC too. Yeah. Good man. So as it pertains to the album is a letter. It's like it's a message I'm trying to get across to my brother. last year I took a trip up to San Francisco to try to find him. You know, and like it was dope because last year when I went, I got like a lot of community support because my mother wanted to come with me. I went 2 years in a row, and on the second year, like I want to bring mom and bring a part of home up there. You know, my friend Alonzo was a big help. You know, Alonzo produced like a lot of music with me. He became one of my brothers, and during on the second trip, you know, like me and Alonzo kept tight. So, and he was just, you know, supporting me. I would call him back and forth. So when I went up to San Francisco to find him, it was on Thanksgiving Day. Found him, and you know, there's more to that experience. You know, he wasn't in the best place when we found him, but the next day Alonzo got shot. You know, while I'm up in San Francisco trying to find my brother. So the album is actually recounting like that experience, and also just one healing from the trauma of a friend passing. You know, and like just telling a story. You know, of how it felt like to go through that. You know, I think that's important that we feel and we be human, you know, and like when things like this happen, we don't just push it to the side and move forward. We get over it. Like, nah, we gotta face it and look at things. So this album is recounting that experience, but also it's a letter. It's a message I'm sending out to my bro, you know, ultimately, and hopefully like the way I shape up and evolve in my life, he can listen to this album and it can help him shape up in his own way, you know. So that's what it's about, you know. Like, cause I got things that I do that I'm not proud of. You know, we all got areas of our life where we're trying to shape up and do better in, you know. So I can't change the world outwardly. I have to change myself first. So like this album is a testament to my own personal change and development. So if he listened to it, he can hear how I evolve and walk the path on his own, you know, and however that looks for him, he can shape up in his own way. So, so yeah, it's one of those pieces where it's about healing, you know, shaping up and like facing those things, and the family's in it too. There's a lot of hands in the project. You know, my mom's on it, my dad's on it. You know, like these are the people that bring me therapy. You know, the middle pillar. You know, my team is on it, my guys is on it, like that with the production. You know, so it's a therapeutic piece through the people in my life. You know, like sitting at a therapy table for me could be my mom. My mom's my therapist at times. My dad is. You know, my son's my therapy. My friends are. You know, so I hope when my brother heard this album, he's hearing the same people that can bring him therapy. You know, like his mother's on it. He can hear his own mom's voice. And imagine like the advice that she's giving me, he's hearing, and he's getting that same advice. You know, so yeah, that's why the people on it. So yeah. Ooh, man. Show y'all one more picture. It's a Christmas picture. It's funny. It's a picture of my mom, and my brothers, and my grandmother. Um, yeah, I feel like that's mom's over there on the left side, right there. Right. That's my grandmother. That's me. That's my brother Eric, middle son Paradise, and that's my oldest brother Kendall. That's my family right there, y'all. That's what it's about, y'all. Family.